Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Apparently, there's a notification bell too. Smash that as well. Just have some fun smashing things. Come on, Hulk. But anyway, this is wild. You can probably see the headline here. Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA could eclipse $1 billion. Yes, now this is not just some reporter from NBC News saying this. This is, I believe, the same person who did the detailed analysis we talked about last year with it said Caitlin Clark's economic impact in the WNBA. She was responsible for 26, I think it's in here, but I believe it was like 26.5%, right around there, between 26 and 20, yeah, 26 and a half. Right. So this is the same person. Um, Ryan Brewer, associate professor of finance at Indiana University, Columbus, and an expert at valuations, who said that her economic impact on the WNBA, she was responsible for a staggering 26.5% of all WNBA activity last season, including revenue from merchandise, ticket sales, and television. Think about that. How insane is that for one player in a league of 12 teams and 144 players responsible for 26.5% of the economic activity? By the way, unless they don't care at all about how the WNBA does and they just want to give the players everything they ask for, the WNBA side of the CBA will be talking about this particular number because, I mean, talk about quicksand, talk about a house of cards. You've got one player for worth more than a quarter of the economic activity of a league. You can't do a whole lot with what you want to the other players want when one player is responsible for all that. Now, check this out. This is wild. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. If things just go as they were, and we have an expanded season of 22 home games with modest inflation, I'm looking at $875 million. And I could easily see that eclipsing $1 billion on the economic impact of Caitlin Clark this year. Say what now? You what? $1 billion is the economic impact of one player in a league that's what still on the last year of a media rights deal that's what, around 60 million or something like that. I mean, the guy apparently knows his stuff, but I'm thinking I want to see a little bit of the work. Not that I don't have faith in Caitlin Clark's popularity, but in a league that loses money down at the 70, $100 million range in terms of a media rights deal. Well, then what, next year I guess it'll be like 200 million or so, and one player is going to be responsible for that kind of stuff. Now, obviously that involves a whole lot of things like talked about last year. What was it? She brought like $36 million of economic activity to the Indianapolis area because like of all the businesses around Cambridge, because of all the new fans going and all that. So, all of that is factored in. This isn't just directly WNBA revenue, obviously, but this is crazy. For the first time since 2008, the WNBA expanded the season to add a 13th team. As we know, the Golden State Valkyries. By the way, shout out to them for getting a win. They have a win, something the Chicago Sky do not have. And then here it is next season, two more, Toronto and Portland. And I believe, let me know in the comments below, right? Because 15 is a weird number. They're going to want to get to 16. I think, is it the year after or 2 years after that? And I think they have another one as well. So they'll get to that number of 16. And here it talks about what I was just saying with the media rights deal, which starts in 2026. That's an 11-year deal worth a reported $2.2 billion, which is, like it says, expected to triple, maybe more than triple, because I think it's in the $62 million range for this year or something like that, which is That's a huge, huge increase. So the WNBA does things right. And I know we haven't really seen that lately, but if they do things right, maybe they can put this league on a solid foundation, but they've got to make a lot of changes, a lot of changes. As he said here, it's impossible to pay Clark what she is worth to the league, he told ESPN in February. Yeah, that may be the first time ever with a player in a professional sport like this, a team sport, where that happens. But she will obviously, she's getting it in endorsements. Last year, she was what, top 10 for female athletes, earned like 11.1 million or something like that for 2024. So, and then of course it talks about the attendance rate, attendance going up. Indiana drawing over 17,000. We know they set the crushed the league record for home and away attendance. We know about all the teams moving to bigger arenas for when Caitlin Clark is there. Did the preseason game against I think Brazil did 1.3 million. The opening game of the season did 2.7 million. By the way, I mean I don't think we're ever going to see another for number for Prime Video. We just had a game Saturday, but that previous game on NBA TV um, did, by the way, did 581,000, which I know it sounds low, and I don't know why they're putting the fever there, but that was the fourth most watched WNBA game on NBA TV. In NBA TV history, that was the fourth most watched game. And of course, only three Indiana Fever games the year before are the games that are ahead of it. So while that's only 581,000, that's a big number on NBA TV. So that's huge. Of course, that brings down the average viewership for Caitlin Clark games, which is why last year the 1.18, it was probably higher when you're talking about the normal stations that get more reach, CBS, ESPN, ESPN2, stations like that, because obviously it was including the NBA TV games and the Ion games, and so forth. So that made a difference as well. But yeah, we know about Clark and merchandise sales already as well. She was what, second? If you were looking at the NBA, she'd been second behind Steph Curry. We know what she's doing with Wilson basketballs and how quickly all those things sell out. So she is absolutely, what is this here? The league reported last year that its merchandise sales, specifically through Dick's Sporting Goods, increased by 233%. I'm going to guess the vast majority of that is Caitlin Clark. Oh, here he mentions the 1.3 million that a preseason game I already said. Of this season's 10 best-selling WNBA games on StubHub, all 10 involve the Fever. Yeah, Clark is not just driving demand for the Fever, she's elevating interest across the entire league to a degree. And of course, this is crazy. Last year, Sportico pegged the value of the Fever franchise at 90 million, slightly less than the estimated league average. Yet in Brewer's analysis, the net effect of Clark's presence drove his valuation of the Fever to closer to $340 million. That is absolutely insane. Now, again, though, that is risky. When you go from a valuation in 1 year of a business from 90 million to 340 million, and all of that is wrapped up in one player who has a limit for her career. We're talking athletics. This isn't like, you brought in this person, the CEO of a company, and the valuation went from 90 to 340 million, and and they could be there for 30 years and put the company on solid footing. This is not that, okay? So the WNBA, I think this is amazing. I want to talk about it for Caitlin Clark because these numbers are insane. But I think it's also a wake up call for the WNBA and changes that they are going to need to be made. Like, I don't know, not allowing your star player to be mugged, hacked, held, grabbed, pulled, punched, and all of that 94 feet up and down the court every game and not calling it, while also calling clear non-fouls against her early in the game to put her in foul trouble, which completely changes the impact she has on a game and what she can do. The WNBA seems to actively be trying to ruin Caitlin Clark, and that will be the death knell of the league. So they got to wake up. Kathy, call me. Sheila of the Mystics, you're an idiot. Call me. Renee, they not like us. Call me. I'll fix all this for you. Okay? because you don't seem to have it right in your head. But one last thing I want to leave you with, because I don't think I ever showed this. We've talked about some of her cards in the past and what they've done price wise, but check this out. PSAs, that's where you go and get a card. You send them the card and they will officially grade it and value it for you. PSA's most collected WNBA player cards. Caitlin Clark, 105,000. And yeah, shout out to Angel Reese and Paige Beckers being second and third. But I mean, look at the number difference, folks. 105,000. Number two is 7.2 thousand. By the way, this is what I think it is in jersey sales too, right? They never broke it down, but remember when it came out and Caitlin Clark was one and Angel Reese was two, and then was Kate Martin 3 or 4, but she was ahead of Asia Wilson. Remember that list? But we didn't know the breakdown. But Caitlin Clark is number 2 if you include the NBA, so we know what a huge gap it is. Well, this kind of gives you an idea. Not that the shirt jerseys are the same, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, I am going to leave it there for now. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. As always, appreciate you so much for checking out this video. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate it so much. Go have the day you deserve, and I will talk to you later.